Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, entitled relatives think they deserve more than my adopted son. My neighbor took advantage of me and my husband? Karen with a gaggle of kids has a meltdown over ice cream. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled relatives think they deserve more than my adopted son. To give some context here, I must say that I'm an IT engineer with toxic family relationships. I did cut off my father and my uncles and aunts, yet I keep in contact with my cousins and their children, which somehow I treat as mine, as I had none and I'm an only child, therefore is the closest I got. I always prioritized success over relationships, so I'm single, and through the years I felt that my cousins' children weren't mine, therefore I wanted to raise one of my own. It took me some time, but finally, I adopted an 8-year-old kid, as those usually age out of foster care. I love the experience of raising a kid, yet I have had to deal with some entitledness from my cousins. It turns out that every now and then I usually spend some money traveling with my cousins and their children, yet this year, for obvious reasons, I need to save money in order to get all of the stuff my son would need, and I'm planning on going big, the best of the best I could afford. I just explained this to my cousins and told them this year our trip together will be cancelled. They said nothing, so I thought they understood the whole situation. Anyway, I wanted my kid to socialize with my cousin's children, so I invite them all to a get-together party. After about 2 months, when my son felt comfortable enough, and somehow all of the kids were so mad and refused to play with my kid. He just sit in a corner and tried to not cry, but he did. I just talked with the kids and they said he was not part of the family and they deserve more, as he is adopted, and they, as my family, were entitled to the trip to the parks in Florida. I was in shock and asked them where they got that from, and they told me how their parents have told them the reason why I took their trip was my son, who comes from the streets and isn't even family. I was fuming, so I told them all to leave. I had a Zoom meeting with just my cousins who tell me that their children must come first, and I told them they made me realize my son come first, so I canceled their college funds, their private school tuitions, and just told them that if my kid is not part of their family, neither am I, and they were cut off. I have been called unreasonable, but I think my son comes first and I made the right decision. You definitely made the right decision. Screw those PPL. My God, how awful. Is your son okay now? That's so terrible. You are an amazing parent. Backing up your precious son. Your ERs got very greedy thinking that they were entitled to your financial support. They are certainly not. You choose your precious son and he deserves all your love, attention, and financial support. Your ERs showed their true colors and they are not pretty. They rejected your chosen child, so you cut them off financially. Absolutely the right thing to do, since they are so adamant and see him as taking their money. It's not their money, it's yours. Let the ERs figure out their own future without your financial support. They clearly forgot that they need you way more than you need them. Especially now that you have your own son. In the long run, it's about more than trip or college funds. But apparently your ERs didn't know that you never bite the hand that feeds you. Congratulations for protecting your son from your family. I adopted 2 daughters, not genetically related, and it amazes me how stupid some people are. As a single parent, I had to juggle a lot of things to make it happen, but my girls are now 16 and 19 and I cannot imagine life without them. I adopted each daughter when they were 2. Now, I introduce them as my daughters. I'm as pale can be and my girls are Chinese. I get asked if their dad is Chinese and I reply, yup, and that's it. Strangers do not deserve my children's history, especially in the grocery store. Love creates a family. It's the worst when you're being nice becomes expected and taken for granted. I'm glad you held your ground. You are right, your son comes first. The cousins lost out on your generosity by being greedy and causing grief to a child because of that greed. You do you. Someday, your son will understand what it means to have a parent stand up for them. This is that moment. Your siblings, on the other hand, are idiots, unkind, and assholes. Say good riddance and move on. Take it from someone who was adopted and has spent their whole life dealing with crap like this. You did the right thing. Many kudos to you and your son. May you both be happier with that toxicity out of your lives. Thanks, he's my top priority. Even if it means I have to cut all of my family off, I wouldn't mind. Sorry for your bad experiences, mate. I wish you found love in your family as well. My neighbor took advantage of me and my husband? This will be a ride, so prepare. Edited spelling error. Last week my neighbor, 36-ish, called me, 23, while I wasn't at home at 10 p.m. to call the police because her partner, 28, tried to assault her and he is yelling at her etc. She needs help. I send my husband, 35, there. He took her with her daughter, almost 2, to our place to stay the night. Next day she called police on the partner. They took him into cell. They have so much evidence of this, previous abuse and criminal BS. He is still there. We were helping her as we could. I babysat her daughter while she was at the police station, 6 hours. And she expected me to wait there with her baby till she gives all the statements while my son was supposed to be with his granny. At least that's how she wanted this babysitting to go, but I convinced her it would be better if I took her daughter to my place. In the evening me and my husband had to go to the police station to give statements too. Next day while she was packing I babysat again. My husband helped her to take apart furniture to move. Yesterday she asked if he knows someone with a van to help her with some more moving. We have a professional mover friend who owes us a favor, so my husband asked him. The friend didn't discuss any payment in the evening. This morning he came by. He and my husband filled up the van. She wasn't even home. She left us keys to do all the work for her. When the van was full, the friend told us that he expects XYZ amount of money for gas in the van, because his van, that we thought he would bring, is not functional, so he had to ask his boss to borrow the one he came with. He didn't ask any money for the work or anything extra, just gas and van. Because the van was already full, my husband thought that okay, she will understand, she will give him the money. They brought the stuff to her new place that is in another city, by the way, and she said that it's not her problem that he needs money, that it's our problem because we didn't discuss it previously. So she basically, as I see it, wants us to pay for her move while we did so much for her. My husband even stayed at her place now to help her move furniture. She was supposed to provide another helper, but he was alone. This is his first days off in months, today and tomorrow, and she expected him to come by her place tomorrow and help her again, that she will provide van, but we are supposed to provide the driver to help her move. To be honest, she wanted to give us an expensive dog, but because she doesn't have a place for him and then you flat, so we took that as some kind of payment. But when I asked her about the gas, she told me that she decided to give her the dog away to another person. She gave us garden pool, which if we didn't take, she would throw away. So do you think I am entitled, or is she entitled that she thinks that all of this is for free and that we will pay for her off? I would never ask money from someone in this situation for my help. I just wanted to hold perspective to you. She's in a tough situation. However, she should realize how much help you guys gave her and at least pay for the expenses. She's getting the labor done for free. Also, your husband was the one who actually went and got her out of the situation. She should be more grateful for that gesture of concern and kindness. Having to go and break up a domestic dispute is the opposite of fun. It's nerve-wracking. I think you've done enough, but if you're willing to keep helping, then I think you need to set some ground rules. Labor is one thing, but the actual expenses should come from her pocket. Make sure that your husband is still okay with this. He might be getting exhausted. He's only one man. Yes, and the labor we provide didn't set us back with money, just time and energy, but if we are a family of 4, we don't have spare cash to pay for this. Tell her that since she refuses to pay for the simple small costs of fuel and a van, and because she has been taking advantage of your help, that you will no longer help her. Tell her good luck, but you are done. I can assure you that you are not the first people she has used and abused to the point where they don't talk to her. You are just the latest in a long string of lovely, helpful people who got tired of her taking advantage. So it's time to stop and let someone else do it. She is one of those people who uses people until they are used up, then she moves on to the next person. It's very odd from the start. Why not just call 911 yourself instead of calling a neighbor to have them call 911? Obviously he's a bad guy, but everything here seems a bit manipulative and fishy. She could be a frantic woman scrambling, but it doesn't necessarily read that way to me from the outset. It seems more like she wanted the neighbor to call 911 so they'd be invested in the outcome as they were a part of the action from the start. Block her. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep her warm. There are organizations set up to help women in these situations. You've done enough. No more. Stop helping her. No more contact with her. Block her. Because she will ask for more. No. You were offered things, but they were good enough for you. Figure it out yourself. Pay your friend so he is not cheated, and cut this former neighbor out of your life. Their asks will only increase. Yes, she took advantage of you. Do not help her anymore. Helping her again only encourages her to take advantage of more people. Karen with a gaggle of kids has a meltdown over ice cream. I overheard a Karen while I was in self-checkout. She was already at the register and the only register open was next to her. I had to park my cart farther away than I wanted to because she had at least 6 kids under 10 years old swarming the area. One kid was standing still, though in the way of where my cart should have gone. That one child seemed to be the only kid realizing how crazy things were getting and was embarrassed or mentally shutting down. I also understand the woman was overwhelmed, which probably caused her meltdown. I'm not sure if they were all her kids or not, but she was already screaming and cursing at them as they were running away from the self-checkout area and running by the employee man registers. I was minding my own business. Ignoring it. As long as they didn't mess with me, it was fine. I scanned a box and it came up as an unknown item. 2 employees started to head my way. I thought possibly one was training the other, which would explain 2 of them. What I didn't know is that Karen had called them over as well. She wanted them to take ice cream off of her receipt, saying that she didn't have any ice cream. The employee pointed at her grocery bag and said, "Isn't that the ice cream? You can clearly see it through the bag. How dare you look through my bags? That's invading my privacy. Take the mother ** king ice cream off. I'm not paying for that. What's your name?" Employee provides name. "Oh, you know, I'm calling corporate on your ASS." The guy that helped me already fixed the scanning issue, but he was still standing there confused. I think he was trying to figure out if he should jump in or if he should stay quiet. Maybe he was preparing for a fist fight? The employee was trying to explain, but there was more screaming and cussing. Then the Karen was out of there pretty quickly, so I'm not sure if she already paid before wanting the ice cream taken off. They took the ice cream off, took the loss, and then she paid. She just took off without paying. I was still there for another few minutes as I scanned the rest of my items and paid. The employees started to gather to see if the employee that was yelled at was doing okay. One employee showed up and said they saw it on the cameras and rushed over thinking there was going to be a fight. They comforted her by saying they'd back her up if Karen does call to complain. I also heard one say that the Karen was already an issue before she got to the checkout, but I didn't hear why. As I was leaving, Karen was stuck in the entryway as her kids were trying to fish quarters out of the sticker machines. I had a ton of trouble navigating around them as she was in the doorway screaming at them to move. Last thing I heard, "I am not taking you to the * king amusement park." One of the kids probably sneaked the ice cream into her cart. When my kids were little, they would do things like that. Then help me put everything on the conveyor belt. Sometimes I wouldn't notice the things they had sneaked in until I was putting the groceries up at home. It doesn't make her attitude okay though. I was actually thinking the same thing. I would think most people would just sigh and either buy it or ask that it was put back. Nope, she doubled down even though it was right there. I still sneak things in the cart when shopping with my wife. She stops, gives me a look, and I will say, "How did that get in there?" "Oh well, guess we have to buy it now." Then she rolls her eyes, says, "I can't take you anywhere," and we continue our grocery store adventure. Many years ago, I owned a small bookstore that sold stuff for kids. There was a woman who always came in with her 2 children. One day as they were leaving, I realized the little boy's pockets were stuffed and saw a balloon from our display sticking out of his pocket. So, I stopped him and said, "Please show me what you have in your pockets." So he pulled it all out, and Mom wasn't happy with either one of us. She couldn't believe that her baby would steal, and that I had called her out on letting it happen. It was quite an event. He was crying, his sister was complaining that she was hungry, Mom was upset, she didn't yell, thankfully. And I just lost it and said, "Maybe you should come in sometime when they are in school." We didn't see her for a while, then one morning she came in with a friend. I didn't really pay much attention, and another employee checked them out. As she was leaving, she came over to me and said, "You were right, it is much calmer without the children, thank you for the idea." It was as if it had never occurred to her to go shopping without her kids. Morgan Freeman and the staff at Wally World never even knew the storm of doom they had been spared that summer day. After reading this, I almost feel sorry for this Karen. Almost. Nope. If she's the mom, she should have thought before she had them. If she's a babysitter, she's super underqualified for the job. If she's an aunt/friend who took someone else's kids out, she is not suited for this either. Sounds to me she had the day she deserved. What else was in the cart she had not scanned? People are being too nice, saying she didn't notice. She's in self-checkout, the item was scanned and put in her bag. She made no effort to take it out of her bag, it was pointed out to her where it was, and return the item so they could take it off her ticket. Which, if she truly hadn't realized she had it, she would have done. She was trying to get free ice cream. I'd answer with, "I'm a faceless number in a corporate quagmire." I'd say my name was Judas. But I'm petty like that. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.